All right, children, it's time to gather around the fire. Pull up a rock and get your cooking sticks ready. We're going to roast a few marshmallows. Come on, don't be shy. Get in closer and snuggle up. It's going to be chilly tonight, and you don't want to catch your death of cold. That's better. So, here we sit on the last night of October. It was on such a night when I was a young lad where I heard my very first campfire story. A night I will never forget, and neither will you, because I'm going to tell you the exact same story I heard many years ago when I sat next to a warm, crackling fire on a bone-chilling Halloween night just like you are doing right now. But before I tell the story, I must first ask you a question. Do you believe in ghosts? You may want to laugh at my scrutiny, but I wouldn't do that if I were you. The last laugh may be on you. Well, there are some places where people do believe in ghosts. And for good reason. You might have heard of the place, and then again, you might not. Most people are afraid to go there, even though it's not far from here. In fact, it's just down the road a piece, in that neighboring valley. It's that old little quiet, unassuming, quaint town which everybody in these parts knows as a place called Sleepy Hollow. Here's what happened there. On a cold autumn night, much like this one, around a cozy fire, a new arrival to the town, a tall, thin schoolmaster named Ichabod Crane, sat and listened intently as Dutch wives spun yarns about their dreamy valley village of Sleepy Hollow. Ichabod was a very learned man, not much a believer of ghost stories. However, the town's women told him a gruesome tale of warning given to all newcomers to the region. One plump wife began the tale. During the Revolutionary War, she started, was the beginning of the most famous ghost story of them all. But it isn't just a story. It's real, and it takes place over there in Sleepy Hollow. A soldier in the war, while scouting a dangerous area of the war-torn battlefield, heard a hissing noise. He stopped to look, and through the dense gray fog and smoke of the field, he saw a large black object, and then a bright flash. Yes, kaplooey. He got his head shot off by a black iron cannonball. You're probably wondering if the blasted head was ever found. No. The fallen soldier was buried in the graveyard with a hideous, headless body. Now, whenever there is a gloomy, foggy night, like the day the soldier died, his ghost rides a ghoulish horse out to the old battlefield in search of his lost head. And when he doesn't find it, he gallops back like a storm to the church bridge. You can see it right behind those trees. Yes, it's the very same bridge where the headless ghost always rides. Ichabod walked home alone that night after the stories. He purposely avoided the church bridge and tried to tell himself that the headless horseman was just a legend. But he still saw the frightful image of the dead soldier in the moving trees and amongst the shadows of the rocks. The next day, the new school teacher was invited to the home of the very rich and powerful Baltus Van Tassel, who wished Ichabod Crane to instruct his beautiful, most beloved daughter, Katrina, in the art of singing. Ichabod was mesmerized as if by a spell when he first took in the vision of the beautiful Katrina. He knew he would do anything to win her hand and all the wealth that went along with it. I will have to plan this well, thought Ichabod, for there was the matter of one Brom Bones to deal with. He was known around town as a hero and an incredible trickster. Brom was interested in Katrina as well, and rumor had it that she would accept if Brom asked for her hand in marriage. Ichabod now had an advantage, though. He would see the lovely Katrina daily while giving her singing lessons, and this would give him time to win her love. Wait a minute. Listen. Over there by the forest. Don't turn around! Sit still or the ghost will get you. Now be very quiet. Shh. Perk up your ears. Do you hear it? The autumn wind rustling through the trees. Well, you may think it's the wind, but it's not. Sit very still and listen very, very carefully. Yes, that's it. You can hear it. The whistling of the cold air currents is actually the voice of Katrina's ghost, singing the very lessons taught to her by Ichabod Crane himself ages ago. Her sweet serenades continue to haunt the valley. Katrina, even in death, could not resist an audience, especially when the opportunity arose for her to bestow her charming vocal expressions upon captive ears. So the next time a fall breeze blows in your ears, take care. It could be the wandering spirit of a passing ghost. Let's see now. Where was I? Oh, yes, autumn. On a wonderful autumn day, a messenger came calling for Ichabod Crane at his small log schoolhouse. It was an invitation to a joyous party at the Van Tassel estate. Ichabod was so excited he dismissed the class early so he could get ready. Ichabod dashed home and hurriedly suited up in his best of clothes, fixed his hair, and got his most expensive hat. There was only one thing missing, he thought. He needed a dignified ride to impress Katrina. Ichabod went to a nearby farmer and borrowed the only horse available, a broken-down working horse named Gunpowder. He had no other choice, so Ichabod rode the old beast of burden to the Van Tassel home and saw the many finely dressed townspeople dancing and singing, having a wonderful time. Brom Bones Ichabod's rival, was in attendance and, as usual, the life of the party. Katrina, in a luminous, beautiful dress, greeted Ichabod. And then the music started. Ichabod took the delicate hand of Lady Katrina, and they danced lively to the sounds that the musicians magically created. Brom Bones sat in the shadows, pouting about the loss of his love. Shortly after the dancing, the elder men gathered outside to puff on their pipes and tell stories. Ichabod listened as Brom Bones spoke up. "There was a terrible event the other night," he said. "Hans Van Ripper was alone in the woods and heard a strange echo of hoofbeats. All of a sudden, he found himself chased by a headless horseman. He knew he would burn in hellfire if the spirit got hold of him. He galloped for his life, and just before his steed collapsed from fear and exhaustion, they made it across the old church bridge. The evil headless horseman rode on after Hans, and as he got on the bridge, he burst into a swirling bright fireball and was sucked back down into the depths of the earth." Lucky Hans had made it out alive. All the men shook their heads in amazement. The ominous news broke up the party early, and Ichabod Crane rode out on Old Gunpowder into the dark night. He rode on until he reached a misty hollow called Wiley Swamp. Crane began to go over a rickety wooden bridge crossing a creek, but Gunpowder stopped cold. He wouldn't budge, not even with a hard whack of the switch. Ichabod heard a noise of another horse and looked over by the trees. A dark figure was there, but our hero couldn't make out who it was. Finally, Ichabod's old workhorse moved, slow at first and then faster. The dark figure matched every move, and when it got to the top of a small hill illuminated by some moonlight, Ichabod gasped in horror, for it was a rider upon a horse as black as the night, and the rider had no head, except for the one it carried on the saddle. The glowing eyes of the decapitated head seemed to be looking directly at Ichabod. Ichabod frantically kicked Gunpowder, and off he went. Crane held on to his horse's neck for dear life. The headless ghoul was on their tail. They rode and rode and rode faster and faster until Ichabod saw the old church bridge. "If only I can reach it like Hans did in Brom's story, I will be okay," he hoped. He gave a final swift heel to Gunpowder, and they stormed over the bridge to the other side. Crane glanced back to see the headless horseman still following. He thought to himself, "The demon hadn't burst into flames yet. Why not?" The headless rider rose slowly in his saddle and brought his head up in his hands. "What is he doing?" Crane thought. Just then, the ghostly apparition threw his grotesque, detached head at the horrified Ichabod. He sat petrified with fear as it impacted him with a supernatural force. Smash! The next morning, Ichabod Crane was not to be found. Old Gunpowder was discovered at the farm, happily chomping away on hay, and the lost saddle was found on a trail marked by curious tracks. The town children waited patiently at the log schoolhouse for instruction, but no teacher showed up that day. Some villagers found horse tracks which led to the bridge and Ichabod's hat. Next to it was a smashed pumpkin. Lady Katrina was soon wed to Brom, and all of Sleepy Hollow rejoiced. Whenever the story of Ichabod's fate was told, Brom laughed out loud. Katrina got her wish of marriage, and the town was back to normal once again. But the children of the valley still tell the story to this very day, that on certain dark autumn nights, the unearthly echo of galloping and the snorting breath of ghostly horses can be heard. And if you watch from the corner of your eyes, you can see the misty, nightmarish vision of the headless horseman of Sleepy Hollow chasing the ghost of Ichabod Crane. Look, over there. Don't turn your heads! Remember, only look from the corner of your eyes. It's them. On the other side of the trees. Ichabod's ghost and the spine-tingling spirit of the Headless Horseman. They're here! Don't even move a muscle. If they notice us, we're all done for. Oh no, here they come. They're right behind us now. Hold your breaths. Sit ever so still. They might just think we're only shadows in the night, flickering beside the fire like them. They're looking straight at us now. Oh no, here they come. Oh boy. Oh, thank heavens. Okay, you can breathe easy now. They're riding on. See them? Just beyond the forest. Away they go.